And now in Radio 4, the show that looks backwards and forwards at the week in sport.
If you don't want to know the scores, look away now.
Hello, I'm Garry Richardson and this is Look Away Now, the show where sport collides with comedy. Imagine Lewis Hamilton running over a clown. This week, Jackie Oatley made history by becoming the first woman to commentate on Match of the Day. The Sun described it as a huge step forward for women and asked to do a special feature on the commentator, preferably on page 3. A lot of people in BBC Sport worry that this might set a trend and that soon you'll have to be a woman to stand any chance of getting a job in sport presenting. Personally, I think that's ridiculous. I'm Sally Richardson and you're listening to Look Away Now. Well, in a moment, I'll be talking to the Liverpool manager Rafa Benitez, but now the first of a regular feature on the programme. Throughout the Snooker World Championship in Sheffield, we'll be hearing a special audio diary from defending champion Graham Dott.
Day one! Lost to Ian McCulloch! Bugger!
What a week for football. Manchester United against AC Milan. Chelsea played Liverpool. At stake, a place in the final of the Champions League. Let's reflect now on that game at Stamford Bridge with the Liverpool boss, Rafa Benitez. Rafa, welcome to the programme.
This is not Rafa. This is Jose.
What are you doing with Rafa's mobile?
I know, it's incredible. I don't understand either. Maybe it happened in press conference the other day.
So did he pick up your phone?
No, I have my phone. The only thing I am missing from press conference is a large bar of chocolate, which I think might now be inside Rafa.
You're saying he ate your chocolate?
Well, unless he's trying to call Spain on a lion bar. But I think now, with this phone problem, I have certainty that Steven Gerrard, he will not be available for second leg.
Well, why?
Because I sent him text message saying, skinny scouse plonker, love Rafa.
Jose, moving on to the match. You're going to have Michael Essien back for the second leg. Let's look at that second leg.
Gary, no more football, please. I talk to you tonight about anything, scuba diving, cricket, Noel Edmonds, anything, not football, anything but football.
Noel Edmonds, are you a fan of Noel Edmonds?
Of course. Noel Edmonds is fantastic. I think Noel Edmonds is like me, except without good looks and mischievous sense of self-awareness. He is, for example, certain of his own destiny. He has rotating squad of 22 who he picks from every day. And worst of all, he takes orders on the phone from a guy with unlimited money who is also a complete banker.
Jose Mourinho, thank you very much for coming on the programme.
I can tell you that the attempt to clean up the Tour de France has not worked because several of the riders are smoking crack.
I'm Garry Richardson. You're listening to Look Away Now on Radio 4 and we're coming to you live from the Cricketers Club, an appropriate venue following the appointment of Peter Moores as the new England coach. Peter, of course, hasn't played cricket at the highest level, much like the England team. But clearly someone somewhere thinks Duncan Fletcher was a bit special.
Free with The Independent next week, we bring you for the first time on CD the great speeches of the world's finest sporting orators. We begin with a man they call the Winston Churchill of cricket, Duncan Fletcher.
Oh, I enjoy cricket.
Hear the soaring rhetoric with which he guided the English team to Ashes glory.
Play good cricket.
Listen to the mighty orations he employed to raise morale after a loss.
Oh, you played bad cricket.
Admire the lyrical majesty of his thoughts on the drawn series with Sri Lanka.
Oh, you played some good cricket, but also some bad cricket.
And weep at the gorgeously poetic imagery with which he expresses his philosophy of cricket itself.
I love you, Geraint Jones.
Now, once again, like all other sports shows, I have alongside me 3 ex-professional footballers watching things on television monitors. Once again, there's no sport on, so we've got them watching films. But we've had to hand regular pundit Brian Brown a 1-week suspension after he was caught on mic making these unfortunate remarks.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Stevie Gerrard. In fact, the only person I admire more than Gerrard, Gary, is Hitler. What, the mic's on, is it? Oh, well, in for a penny, in for a pound. I hate the following minorities.
And that diatribe was to last a further half an hour. So with Brian on the sidelines, we're delighted to welcome, making her Look Away Now debut, the ex-Glenarvan ladies winger, Connie Ellis. And Connie, you're watching for us, for some reason, Notting Hill.
That's right, Gary, and there are no surprises with the formation here. Richard Curtis, he's no tinker man. He's using exactly the same lineup as he does in all his films. Hugh Grant in the middle, a couple of wacky mates in the wide positions, and then a gay and a disabled making up the numbers.
Over on the Sky movie channels, as you may know, it was Superman 2, Rocky 3. And I'm hearing now it's Superman 3, Rocky 3, so extra time looms there. Now, the former Motherwell and Tranmere midfielder Andy McMahon is in for a terrifying evening. He's watching Jaws for us. Are you going to be all right with that, Andy?
Oh, I'm no frightened, Gary. I've swam in Loch Ness, and that's with a dinosaur, by the way. But I have put a wee barrier up here so that the lovely Connie doesn't catch a glimpse of it and get scared. Territory is going to be absolutely vital here. The shark is very strong in deep sea. If Police Chief Brodie and the others try to take him on out there, they'll get slaughtered. They have to keep the shape near the shore, and crucially, if they hear a cello, swim like crazy. We're underway here.
Andy, thank you very much. Finally, there's the former Oldham Athletic manager, Stan Allen. Stan, what are you watching?
Yeah, well, Gary, I'm watching a film called Ghost.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that was your sort of thing, Stan.
Oh, no, I like a good scary film, me. And I'll tell you what, if you think Andy's made us strong stuff... You know, I'm not happy about this.
What's the matter?
Well, maybe it makes me a bit of a dinosaur, but I just don't think a woman should commentate on films. If I'm being honest, I don't really think they should be in them. Involving women in cinema is just politically correct tokenism. I know that sounds idiotic, but, well, I am an idiot.
Any early action in Ghost, Stan?
Patrick Swayze's just been shot, but apart from that, no.
As played down to long on, where it'll be met by Darren Gough, who comes running in and shimmy 2, 3, 4 and weave and feather step and reverse. That's good dancing from the Yorkshireman.
As you know, we like to have some music on this show, and while we wait for Chaz and Dave to get back to us, Richie Webb is doing sterling work. Richie, what have you been up to this week for us?
Well, Gary, as I'm sure you are aware, the American Major League Soccer is really big news this year, and to help it reach a new, younger US audience, I've come up with a rap R&B type groove.
Fair enough. Who's your MC, Rich?
Well, I'm negotiating with some big names. John Barnes, obviously, he's interested. Yeah, Dr. E.
Yeah, do you mean Dr. Dre?
Him as well. They're all up for it.
You haven't got anyone, have you?
No, it's me. I'm doing it, Gary.
Right, we better hear the tune then. Ladies and gentlemen, the notorious Rich E. Webb.
Listen, everybody, let me tell you all about this kick-ass game they call the football. Get down to LA Galaxy and pack the stands. These crazy mothers play football without using their hands. It's the football. The football. Defenders defend and attackers attack. The guys in the midfield keep running forwards and back. The dude in the gloves, he doesn't have much fun. He just kicks the ball downfield and they call it Route 1. Now may I introduce you to the main man, the undisputed king of football, David Beckham. He can pass, move, he's played on the biggest stage. The other players begrudge his overinflated wage. It's the football. It's a goal. QDB.
Come on, everybody, come one and all. Watch me, David Beckham, play soccer ball.
Yo. I mean, man, Alexi Lalas is running the show. He used to have a funny beard, he shaved it up now, though. He can attract big names, he got serious clout. I hear Addy Akinbaye is on the next plane out. If the ball goes out, you throw it back in. 2 yellows make a red, there ain't no sin bin. A foul means a free kick, there's penalties too. But how the offside rule works, I have no freaking clue. The football. Blow your whistle, QDB.
Come on, everybody, there's nothing to lose, 'cause there in the crowd is my friend Tom Cruise.
There's a couple of chants that are regularly used. Most of them involve the wrestling roundly abused. Don't worry, y'all offend him, he's up for the crack. He loves it when you ask him, who's the bastard in the black? Now the purpose of the game is get the ball in the net. Don't be surprised if with 2 hours gone that no one's done it yet. Give the game the attention it deserves. Some of these guys used to play for Torquay Reserves. It's foot, the football. Oh, who ate all the pies?
Get your tickets now, demand's exceeding supply. Although I won't be turning up till the end of July.
It's foot, the foot.
Can I kick it?
Yes, but don't use your hands.
Now, the World Snooker Championship has been going on for nearly a week. A quick stat for you. Over 500,000 people have tuned in to the snooker each evening. And on average, each one of those has been asleep in under 30 seconds. Another stat is that there's still only one female snooker referee, Michaela Tabb, but she's not the first. In 1982, Stella Whatley had that honour. And this year, in the Crucible Theatre studio, is a one-woman play based on her life. It's called Life on the Spot, or as near to it as possible if there's a red in the way.
Snooker, light of my life, fire of my loins. I was born to referee snooker. I remember as a child, whenever my brother ate a sprout, I'd say 3. And every time he ate a boiled egg, I'd say, foul, Doug Mountjoy, 4. And I well remember the day I persuaded him to eat a tomato, followed by a licorice chew 15 times, followed by a banana, a cabbage, a chocolate truffle, a piece of beef that had been dyed blue, some salmon, and then finally a licorice chew. The first edible 147. My first proper job was an exhibition match between Alex Hurricane Higgins and John, too dull to have a nickname, Spencer. And I was so nervous that I forgot that when they're potted, the reds are meant to stay in the pockets. I kept putting them back on, and the first frame lasted 5.5 hours. At the end, Spencer gave me a nod of approval, and Higgins tried to have sex with me. I knew I'd made it.
I've been commentating on Formula 1 for 17 years and no one can tell me what the formula is. It's like Colonel Sanders' recipe. In other words, it's secret.
Troubled times at Arsenal Football Club following the sacking of the vice-chairman David Dean. Rumours in the last couple of days have been circulating about new owners. Inevitably, Russian oligarchs and American billionaires are in the frame. However, my next guest has also made himself available as a potential buyer. Perhaps you could introduce yourself, sir.
Good evening. My name is Chief Julius Kavasimbi Titi Okacha Big Dada Mawalinga Sese Sese Taiwo. But just call me Tony.
Welcome. Could you just tell us a bit about your background as a financier in Nigeria?
Certainly. I have made my millions as a financier in Nigeria.
Oh, perhaps you could tell us a bit more.
My empire was built on helping people with their banking arrangements on the internet. My ancestors told me that one day I should go to England and take charge of all their big football teams. Arsenal, Alexandra Palace, Alton Towers. This is just the beginning.
I have to ask you, though, do you think your bid will be better than Kroenke's?
The Kroenkes, they are hilarious.
I think you're getting a bit mixed up with the Kroenkes. You know, Fan Dabidosi?
Fan Dabidosi? You mean the Nigerian midfielder?
Perhaps we'd better move on. The big story this week, the Queen is a gooner.
Gary, the Queen is a very gorgeous and delightful lady. She's the mother of the nation. You know, she's a great inspiration to me. I remember when I was a little boy.
I've just got to move you on. I've got and ask you. I mean, it's all extremely interesting.
Here, yes, it's
We'll come back to that because it sounds like someone scored at Notting Hill, Connie.
It's grand, Gary. He's just shagged Roberts. But you have to wonder, and maybe it's a strange thing to say this, but you have to wonder if he scored too early, because there's a heck of a lot of time left in this film.
Thank you very much. Andy McMahon was quite blasé about Jaws earlier. Still not scared, Andy?
Oh, no, I mean, there's more blood in the sea here than there is on Dracula's drinks trolley, by the way, Gary, but... Oh, God! Oh! James Crivens. Just as I was speaking, there was a slow tracking shot round the hull of a wrecked fishing boat, and I'm thinking to myself, the shark's coming, son, don't squeal like a Jessie. But then out of nowhere, a drowned man's face drops into the shot. Talk about squeaky bum time, Gary. Oh.
Andy, thank you very much. Now, news coming in from the Fifth Element. Good story, this. We're hearing that Bruce Willis has just set a new record because this is now the 5th consecutive film that he's made in his vest. Stan Allen, you were expecting frights aplenty from Ghost. Anything terrifying to report, Stan?
Well, I do always find Whoopi Goldberg slightly unnerving for some reason, but that's about it. Gary, I'm wondering if this really is a horror film after all, because as I speak, a bit of music started playing. It sounds very much like Unchained Melody to me, the Robson and Jerome version you'd imagine, and yeah, it's a set piece. Here, just stay with me, Gary, because it looks like the dead Swayze is going to do a really tight marking job on Demi Moore at the Potter's Wheel. It's quite a tender moment, though. The dead Swayze obviously misses Moore very much. And she doesn't even know he's there.
Sorry about that, Tony. You'll understand why we had to interrupt you. Interruptions are a big part of what we do on this show.
Please. Gary, it's not a matter of sorry, okay? I thought this was a professional broadcasting operation, but it doesn't matter about that. Let's carry on.
OK, well, let's talk about Arsenal. And I was about to ask you the way forward. What changes can the fans expect?
But, Gary, I'm sure you know that is not the question. The question, let's get to the heart of it, is how are you going to change pretty into winnie? That is the question.
OK, let's ask you that question. How are you going to change pretty into winnie?
That is a marvellous, intelligent question. Now, firstly, very few changes will be made. The footballing side is down to Arsene Wenger. The only small change will be that I will select the team.
That's a radical change.
Not at all. Just as now, Mr. Wenger will have sole responsibility for the players' diet. I will never interfere in the kitchen. That is Mr. Wenger's province. As a Frenchman, you know his food will always be delicious and mouth-watering. In fact, a small change will be that Mr. Wenger will now be called the caterer rather than the manager.
Well, I've got to ask you about Thierry Henry.
Of course. Thierry is a very charming fellow, lovely striker, and he will be entitled to £10 million pay deal. All he has to do is to give me his banking details and pay a modest fee up front for administration. I've already emailed him about it.
OK. Now, what about the problem, and this is a key question, the problem of having a highly paid team of reserves sitting around doing nothing?
Well, I believe in the system of player rotation. When they are not training, they will be working as mini cab drivers. I have bigger plans than you can ever imagine, my friend. For instance, with the help of the Arsenal ladies, who are doing so well in the Women's League but are not using their best talent, we are launching a chain of Arsenal lap dancing clubs. They will be very tasteful and exclusive for lawyers and doctors, accountants, people of substance, and we'll be calling them Us and All. Believe me, the future of the club could not be in safer hands than Big Dada Sese.
Thank you very much.
Let's keep in touch. I will email you.
Frankie Dettori does his trademark jump into the air, and he may have been overdoing the dieting because he hasn't come down. He's stuck in midair.
April 1982. The Crucible, Sheffield. My first World Championship. My big break. The male referees resented me. They said I'd taken a job off their mate Barry foul on a miss Flatterton. But the fact was, he was 97 years old, completely blind and had no arms. And if there are 4 things you need as a snooker referee, it's both eyes and both arms. But he was a man, and I wasn't. I was a woman. They turned the players against me. They stop me in the street and say things like, "A woman's place is at the dining room table, not the snooker table." And I'd respond by saying, "It's snook her, not snook him." Not all of them, mind. Cliff Thorburn was always a gentleman. In fact, one night, I poured my heart out to him and we ended up in his hotel bedroom. Nothing happened, though. He was so slow actually doing anything, I'd fallen asleep by the time he unclipped his velveteen bow tie. But then it started to get violent. 4 of them held me down during the mid-session interval and got Big Bill Werbeneck to sit on me. I never refereed a snooker match again. And all because the men couldn't cope with a woman. And because Bill Werbeneck sat on my head.
These two fighters have boxed themselves to a standstill. Literally, they're frozen in time in the middle of the ring. And yes, some removal men have come to take them away.
Now it's Global Road Safety Week, and spearheading the campaign is Formula One driver Michael Schumacher.
I'm Michael Schumacher, and I know how to drive. You don't. Listen to my advice, and you will live.
Question: what should you do if someone in front of you is driving in a reckless manner?
Answer: shunt into him, breaking his hands. Another bad driver is sidelined, making the road a safer place.
Question: the car in front of you has faulty indicators. What should you do?
Answer: accelerate into him, making him crash. Another idiot has gone, making the road a safer place.
Question: what should you do?
That is enough questions. I will now spend the remainder of this film working out in a tight vest.
Sadly, that goes on for another 45 minutes. Now,
that is shocking.
Now, what's shocking? It sounds like there's been a development over at Notting Hill. Connie Ellis for you.
Now, that is a shameful scene, Gary. Absolutely shameful. Curtis has lost it big style. We had a plot about a restaurant that doesn't go anywhere and a Welsh bloke swanning about in his pants. Oh, and still no black people.
Oh, no, here we go again. Oh, no.
It sounds like there's a big moment over at Jaws. What's happened, Andy?
Oh, I'm pretty sure the skipper's been eaten by the shark here, Gary. Remember, the whole of the skipper has to be over the line of teeth for it to count. He's in all right. Oh, what a mess. You have to fancy the shark from here, Gary. Oh.
Andy, thank you very much indeed. We're bringing you all the action, of course. Well, now, if you were asked to name someone quintessentially English, you might say John Betjeman, Alan Bennett, Stephen Fry, or, of course, Kevin Peterson. And that's why we've asked KP to make a series of audio diaries about all things English.
For I am an English gentleman. My name is Kevin Peterson. Ha! Kevin Peterson, huh? You've heard of Iceland, you've heard of Finland. Well, here I am in a completely different country. Theatreland. People are always saying to me, Kevin, 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 you would love the theatre. I don't know why. I'm a bit nervous, to be honest, because I've never actually sat through a whole film. But I think theatre might be a bit different, because apparently you're allowed to talk. 2 of my young cousins went to the theatre at Christmas, and it was fine. They were allowed to get up, walk about, they were encouraged to shout, people threw sweets, great for catching practice, and they got to see someone who was once in Hollyoaks. It sounded pretty good. Anyway, with that in mind, I'm off to buy a ticket for Strindberg's Dances with Death. How much is that thing?
£800.
That's nothing. Why do people always go on about how expensive theatre is? To them, I say, grow up or get a sponsor. Okay, here we are now, just looking for my seat. Excuse me, KP, coming through Hampshire, England. I think you're in one of my seats, madam.
What row are you supposed to be in?
This one, G.
This is row P.
What? I thought G was the one with the tail on it. Right, here we go. Okay, heads down, brace yourselves. These must be them. Oh! Don't believe it. Oh, the seats must be tilted up if you're not sitting in them. That is unbelievably painful. The lights are going down. Curtain up. And sleep.
Well, it's time now for the Rant Line, an opportunity for you, the British public, to air some intelligent and witty views on sport. An opportunity which you waste every single time.
Look, I've had enough of this. It's just snooker, snooker, snooker all the time. It's on every single channel. I press a button and it's the snooker. I press the button and more snooker. I mean, how many channels is it on? And it's getting louder. I press a button. Oh, hang on, I'm pressing volume control, not program control. Sorry.
This is Jose, and I am ranting now. Yes? Good. I rant. Of course, we got no penalty. Yes, we won 1-0, but it should have been 2-0. No penalty. Why no penalty? It's obvious. I see referee before game, in tunnel, whistling. Whistling what? Penny Lane by Beatles. Of course, no penalty. Impossible. Finish rant.
Peter Moores? Peter Moores? Peter Less? More like, probably. I don't really know.
Hello, I'm a Nigerian sporting fan, and I wish to make it very clear there is in fact no Nigerian footballer called Fanda Bidozi. But we do have a very good tennis player called Easy Weezy Let's Get Busy.
This is Rafa Benitez. I think it's not okay, no? You made a big mistake in your program. You accused me of stealing the lion bar from Mr. Mourinho. It's not okay, no? Also a implication of me being a fat. I don't think so. I think I'm not a fat. I am a bigger bonnet. I'm not a fat. I'm not fat. Goodbye, no?
Do keep calling our rant line, although we should point out that our callers for the next 4 weeks have already been chosen. Now, sounds like a dramatic finish over at Jaws.
It's a victory here for the part-timers. What an upset this is. The Great White going down to a copper and an on-loan scientist. But I tell you this, Gary, for nothing. I am never swimming in the sea again after this.
Stan Allen, I think it's all over at Go, Stan. Stan, what's the matter? A bit of a sad ending for you?
No, it's Demi Moore's acting, Gary. It's so bad. Well, yeah, it was a bit of a sad ending, I suppose. You see, Swayze's gone up to heaven, but how's Moore going to cope without him, Gary? How's she going to cope?
Oh, come here, Stan, you big soft sexist bigot.
So a lovely scene to finish on here as Connie embraces Stan while Andy cowers in the corner after catching sight of a particularly large glass of water. Well, next week on Look Away Now, we'll be looking ahead to Seve Ballesteros' debut on the American Seniors Tour, a chance at last for the great man to play truly abysmal golf with people of his own age. And finally, there's been an outcry this week on the message boards about the sexing up of the BBC snooker theme. But just wait till you hear what they've done with the cricket. I'm Garry Richardson. Good night.
Look Away Now was presented by Garry Richardson, with Lawrence Howarth, Dave Lamb, Richie Webb, Miles Jupp, Mario Rosenstock, Felix Dexter and Angela McHale. It was written by the cast, Mark Evans, Will Ing, with additional material from Danielle Ward, Kieran Quirk, Owen Barker and Andrew Douglas. The music was by Richie Webb and Jason Hazley. Look Away Now was produced by Will Saunders. To find out more about the show and get tickets to see it, check out the Radio 4 website.
And you can get tickets to see next week's Look Away Now by simply going to bbc.co.uk/tickets.